This is not the movie I thought it was. My name is Brandon Keith Avery, and this is just my opinion. Now we have Magazine Dreams, a film that I was really looking forward to, one of my most anticipated films that I wanted to see just whenever they was going to release it. This is rated R, coming in at 2 hours and 4 minutes, and it's being described as a psychological drama or drama. Now we're going to get to this in just a second, but before that, this was directed by Elijah Bynum, and actually not just directed, it was written by this gentleman as well. And if we scroll down and look at his filmography, did Deliverance, $1, a TV series, and Hot Summer Nights. If you guys are familiar with this or any of his other work, please let me know down in the comment section below. But back to what I was saying earlier, as far as this being a psychological drama and my expectations for this film, I was going into this film thinking that this was going to be a coming of age story bodybuilding movie, to where we have a character by the name of Killian being played by Jonathan Majors that's just an aspiring bodybuilder, that he's gonna start at the bottom and just work his way to the top, trying to get that magazine dream of being a professional bodybuilder, all the highs, all the lows, everything in the middle, him possibly taking things too far, but kind of like a Rocky story, to where we see him training and there's a ton of montages and he's running up the stairs at the end like, yeah, I did it, I'm gonna win, and it's gonna be a powerful message, very uplifting. Those were the expectations that I had going into this film, but after seeing it, really after the first 10 or 15 minutes, I found out that this is the complete opposite of that. I will get to what this film is in just a moment, but if ladies or men, if you wanted any type of eye candy and if you thought that the premise, the story, the plot was what I just described, you're gonna be surprised. So I just want to let you know that. But before I get into all the nitty gritty, before I tell you all my likes and dislikes, let me tell you exactly what this film, Magazine Dreams, is all about. An amateur bodybuilder battles both the limits of his physical body and his own inner demons to gain recognition. And guys, that last half of the sentence is really what this film is about. The amateur bodybuilding aspect is a distant second. I will go ahead and say this, guys, this film is amazing. This is one of the better movies that I've seen in quite some time, and coming from Jonathan Majors, this is one of the best performances that I've ever seen. When I calmed down after the film ended, I was like, okay, that may be a stretch, but I will go ahead and say right now that in 30 years, this film and or performance will be remembered as one of the greats, because it's just that damn good. Even when this premiered at Sundance, I heard nothing but positive things about this film, but said to myself, okay, I'm not going to like it as much as all these other critics, pundits, etc. But I think I liked it just as much, if not more. It is a very uncomfortable watch. I will let you know. Again, this is not an eye candy movie. I don't know which one I like more, the performance from Jonathan Majors or what the director did with his editing, with his sound design. One of the standouts that I really did like about this film is what he did with the camera. Very, very creative on sometimes where he would not leave the camera in an open field so where you can see everything, but put it in a car and have it panning around. That right there in itself created a great sense of tension and anxiety, because you wanting to escape this closed space. Every time Jonathan Majors got into a car, it was like you was watching a horror movie. You was terrified, you was scared, you did not know what was going to happen. And I like that. Also with the camera, there was a lot of long shots and takes. That just goes to show how skilled everybody in front of the camera was and behind, because you're going across the yard, you're going through a door, down the hallway, around the corner, down some stairs, and then out into a big stage with an auditorium in the background, all in one take. Seriously? Sure, we've seen that done in other films before, but not all the time. Not every director can do that. And when it's done like it was in this film right here, it should just be taught in universities and classrooms for film 101 on how things should get done. I also like the choice of music, the score in this film too, because there are polar opposites, some of the choices. You have classical and you also have heavy metal. Classical is very soft, smoothing, and relaxing. And when they're playing that, you have Jonathan Majors posing in the background on stage, performing, trying to do his thing. And it's very nice. It shows the art form and just the beauty of bodybuilding if you're in that type of thing. But they also show Jonathan Majors during his dark times when he's alone and not treating himself well. and abusing drugs more than one. They have a bunch of heavy metal in the background that's very loud and sporadic. It can really drive you crazy or make you happy if you're in that type of thing. But what's more impressive than that is when they switched it to. When they have an art form or a scene that's supposed to show the beauty, they'll have the heavy metal in the back. But then also later on, where he's doing something chaotic and destroying himself or somebody else, they'll have the classical music in the background too. I like how I switched back and forth, that transition right there. Once you see the film, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, this is not based on a true story. This is a combination of stories and ideas that the director did come up with when he was trying to get back in the gym himself. He says that this film represents broken men. I will say that I agree with that, and he did a splendid job there. And when it comes to Jonathan Majors' character, Killian, I did feel sorry for him. I wanted him to win. I wanted him to get help. I wanted someone just to give this man a hug. I was able to empathize with him in certain scenes too. This man is socially awkward, textbook version of that. He may be autistic just a little bit to make you feel sorry for him more, and he just wants friends, but has a horrible way of going about it to where you don't know what's going to happen. It has you at your edge of your seat and you are terrified. I mean, the man is actually Googling how to make people like you. And when you have to go to such lengths to make friends, I mean, it can be very, very sad. Now, as men and women grown, we do have to have responsibility to learn how to be social and get along with everybody else in the world. But at the same time, some people just can't help it for whatever reason. And that is the case here with Jonathan Majors' character. He's so driven and focused on certain aspects of his life and knocks that out the park. But then again, he doesn't know how to converse with somebody that he wants to be acquainted with. You know, he'll just scare him off, and that's extremely problematic. What I also like about this film is it shows a character in a situation that is dedicated and prepared to do whatever they need to do to win, to seize the day, to come out on top, but don't have the resources to do that, and it's completely out of their control and not their fault. Just another example of how life isn't fair, but the way it was depicted in this film does give you a different perspective on it, which makes you attach yourself to the character and the story that they're surrounded with. You know, for example, Killian lives in the food desert. He has to drive 6 miles to find a healthy grocery store. Everything around him is junk food, and he talks about how that's killing him. That is what this man is focused on, and the average person doesn't even think like that. And that just kind of just shows the type of person that he is. But going to the flip side of this, just to let you know what type of movie you're gonna get, 60 to 70% of this movie, when I was watching it, I was uncomfortable. I was either watching it, looking through my fingers, kind of tensed up, like, oh gosh, what are you about to do? Stop it, stop it, stop it. Whether Killian was going to abuse or hurt himself or somebody else, I just did not know. Earlier when I said this movie felt like a horror movie at times, I wasn't exaggerating. There's no hyperbole there in that statement. I'm giving you the honest truth. It really did feel like a horror movie because I just did not know what this man was going to do. He was a ticking time bomb just ready to explode on whoever was around him, which again is scary and very, very uncomfortable. It's a damn good performance though. It is, but it's like, whoa, whoa, man, like where is this coming from? You know, gosh, this is just too much for me to handle right now. There's also a lot of situations in this film to where you're just gonna be asking yourself, man, what would you do in this situation if you was put in this environment and this is just what happened? What would you do with Killian being there? I also have a question about all the fathers out there when you have to protect your family. Crazy scene, damn good, and it's a conversation starter. A lot of people are going to be talking about this movie like, did you see Magazine Dreams? What about this part right here? What about this part? What about that part? Da, 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 da. That's always great when you can have people conversing about a film, about all the ins and outs, ups and downs, you know, and a lot of people are going to be talking about this film. There were also other aspects of it that made me uncomfortable when it comes to sexual exploitation. I also like what the director did show as far as that's concerned, because it's not in your face. It is implied what happened afterwards, and you just have to fill in the blanks. It could fly over some people's head, but for the most part, I think most audiences will get it. So credit to the director as far as knowing what to show and what not to show, and pulling things back when it's necessary, because you don't want to be too much, but also get your point across. So he did a great job there. I also like the way he depicted the internal struggles that we have in our mind, to where when we are angry, irate, or frustrated about something, we will possibly as humans go to the extreme of how we want to retaliate. And they put this in this film as well through Jonathan's character, Killian. And that was horrific too. But at the same time, we come to our senses and realize, okay, we can't do this. This is just something that I was projecting. And that was very interesting storytelling as well. For me to say that I enjoyed it, it would be an understatement. And also dealing with a traumatic childhood and just kind of combine that into one, then you will have this movie. Kind of like Precious. I don't know if you guys saw that came out in 2009 with Monique. That wasn't based on a true story. It was like 3 or 4 different stories or horrible events combined into one. That's kind of how it is with this movie here, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's just what it felt like. And also overall, towards the end of this film, it did make me a bit uncomfortable seeing a black man going around that is not in control of himself, going around harassing and terrorizing people in a sense. It's just not a good look, especially with the climate that we're living in right now. Now, we shouldn't be going around walking on eggshells, caring about what other people think. And I may be being too sensitive. You know, I'm not perfect over here. You guys respectfully let me know in the comment section, but these are just thoughts that was running through my mind while I was watching this picture. But this whole experience was new for me. I've never had a protagonist to where I liked them so much, but also disliked them too at the same level. I mean, they're doing so many great things. You want them to win, you feel sorry for them, but at the same time, you're saying, hey man, you can't just be going around operating like this. This has to stop. Whether you're hurting yourself or somebody else, this just has to stop. But those are the positives that I liked about this film. Let me get to one negative to where I cannot give this film a perfect score. VILLIAN, Jonathan Majors' character, had a very traumatic childhood. I don't want to spoil that here. They did explore one aspect in great vivid detail. I did enjoy that, but they were hinting at and implying other traumatic things that he went through as a child. And I always love the notion of show and don't tell, but in this case, I felt they should have. It would have fleshed out his story a bit more. And I feel like the film had multiple opportunities to explore this, but they didn't. He has some weird advice about sex and being touched, but they never did dive into that and let us know why or where that came from. We're just kind of left to assume, and that really did kind of rub me the wrong way. Still love the film. That's really the only thing that I did not like. But other than that, everything was great, as I mentioned. The writing in this film was fantastic, and so was the directing and the editing. I love the sound design. I love the sound mixing. I liked the protagonist and disliked him at times, and they gave valid reasons on both ends of that. I mentioned the score, I mentioned the music, and it's just some of these scenes just really stand out to me, especially when he was on a date with one of his coworkers named Jesse. I mean, once you see it, it's just like, bro, somebody give this person a hug. They really, really do need it. I mean, this was just an overall great film. I love the ending. The whole third act surprised me, but then it scared me as well. I'll go ahead and give my rating for this at the very end, but for now, guys, that is just my opinion, and I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you did enjoy this video, if you like my commentary and you want more of me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit it right now. Hit the subscribe button. Help me reach 60,000 subscribers. Also, click the thumbs up button and leave a comment in the comment section. I want to know, are you a fan of Jonathan Majors? Yes or no, or why? And also, are you interested in this film? Also, I want to know, were you interested in this film but don't want to see it now because all of the allegations and you just don't know what to think, you don't know what to believe? Also, I want to hear from the bodybuilders. I asked a question in the comment section about fathers and what you would do in this certain situation. If you see the film, come back and let me know your thoughts there as well. I also want to let you guys know that right before this, I did shoot a full spoilers review with Malcolm. So if y'all are interested in that, that's another reason you got to subscribe. And I may do another spoilers review with another colleague. But if I had to rate Magazine Dreams out of a 1 out of 10, I would easily give this movie a 9 out of 10. Yes, a 9 out of 10. But guys, again, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that I'm B. Avery. That's just my opinion. Peace. And I'll see you next time.